Good morning, everyone, and happy
Good
Saturday.
morning.
How's everybody
Good
doing this morning?
morning. Great.
Morning.
Woohoo! Happy
Fabulous.
Saturday.
Good morning.
All right. Well, some of us have already been accused of having way too much energy this morning, and we are happily guilty as charged. But in all seriousness, welcome everyone to our mid-May episode of Voices of HealthPointe. And for those that are new to this program, we just kind of have a couple of docket items that we kind of click through, but the real heart of this hour that we have together is just a bunch of like-minded people talking about all things health, and particularly the HealthPointe program. And for those that don't catch a live, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time start, this is always uploaded to Voices of HealthPointe YouTube channel. So we're going to really have some fun today. We've got, I'm going to do an item, and it's called the molecule behind your energy and why you're probably low on it. All right. And then we've got Laurel. We're super excited that Laurel's on here. She's going to unpack a recent article that came out from the EPA on kind of some bad stuff in the water. And so we're looking forward to that for sure. And then Carol's got a kind of a recent review that she saw with RFK and Dr. Phil. So excited if she has an opportunity to kind of unpack that a little bit. So with that, guys, I'm going to get right into my item, and then we'll open it up for any comments or questions on any of this and move right along. So again, the molecule behind your energy and why you're probably low on it. Imagine for a moment that every cell in your body is like a tiny city, buzzing with activity, moving nutrients, cleaning waste, and above. And we got some background noise, guys. You might need to mute yourself. Hold on 1 second. One moment, guys. Guys, if you're not speaking, please mute. Let me see if I can get some mute going here, guys. One moment.
That's true. Since our last recording.
Okay. All right, guys. Sorry about that. Again, guys, if you're not on, please watch your mute, and that will really help a lot. So, okay. So imagine for a moment that every cell in your body is like a tiny city, buzzing with activity, moving nutrients, cleaning waste, and above all, generating energy to keep the whole operation running. At the heart of that energy system is a molecule. And I was going to toss this out as a quiz, but the better side of me says, no, it's too early to be quizzing everyone here on our walk and talk. But if you're wondering what that molecule is, it's coenzyme Q10, or CoQ10 for short. Okay, some of you might be familiar with it, and let's take a look at it. So you may not have heard of it in everyday conversation, but CoQ10 is one of the unsung heroes of cellular health. It's like the spark plug in your body's engine, essential for turning food and oxygen into usable energy, particularly in organs that need a lot of power, like your heart, brain, kidneys, and muscles. CoQ10 is a fat-soluble compound found in nearly every cell in the human body. It lives in the mitochondria. And boy, I love talking about mitochondria, but it lives in the mitochondria, which is often called, of course, the powerhouses of the cell, where it helps produce ATP, which is your body's main energy currency. Without enough CoQ10, that cellular power production slows down. Think of it like a dimmer switch being turned down across the board. But CoQ10 doesn't just help generate energy. It's also a powerful antioxidant, meaning it helps neutralize free radicals, those unstable molecules that cause oxidative stress and damage cells over time. In this way, CoQ10 plays a double role, keeping your energy flowing and defending your cells from wear and tear. The body does make CoQ10 naturally, but production declines with age. Don't you just love that? So it declines with age, also with stress and illness. Certain medications, especially statins, which of course are commonly prescribed for cholesterol, are also known to reduce CoQ10 levels significantly. People with chronic fatigue, cardiovascular conditions, neurodegenerative diseases, or even just low energy may find benefit from supporting their CoQ10 levels. It's not a miracle cure, but for some people, replenishing CoQ10 is like flipping the lights back on. While there's no flashing warning light, common signs of low CoQ10 might include fatigue or low stamina, brain fog, muscle weakness or soreness, poor recovery after exercise, accelerated signs of aging, and statin-related side effects like muscle pain. Can you get CoQ10 from food? Yes, but only in small amounts. Foods like organ meats, especially like liver and heart, oily fish like sardines and mackerel, spinach and broccoli do contain CoQ10. However, the typical diet doesn't provide nearly enough to restore depleted levels, which is why many people turn to supplementation, especially after age 40 or when on certain medications. Boy, what is it about age 40? I remember when I was approaching age 40, somebody told me, around age 40, you might need something with your eyes, and a lot of people have that. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I think I was like 40 and 3 months, and boom, I needed to get something with my eyes. And then we talked about digestive enzyme. That was another one that kind of kicked in around that. And here we are on CoQ10. So it is a reality, guys, as we age, and there's something around that age 40 that kind of starts happening. So it's good to supplement. So what's the bottom line? CoQ10 isn't about chasing youth or energy fads. It's about supporting your body's most basic function, making energy and protecting cells. Whether you're focused on heart health, long-term vitality, or simply feeling more like yourself again, understanding the role of CoQ10 might be a key part of your journey. After all, when your cells have the energy they need, everything else just works better. Now, for those of you that are familiar with our CoQ10 supplement, this guy right here, and one of the most fun things about the CoQ10, and those that are familiar with it will relate to this, is one of the standout colors and shapes of a supplement. It's a little, looks like a black piece of licorice. And there's two supplements that are very distinctive like that. This one's black, and the other one would be the Vision Health, which I mentioned about eyesight earlier. I take the Vision Health. That is like a carrot color, which is appropriate. But why does that matter? Why am I even having some fun with this? If you've ever had particularly early in the morning, where you accidentally elbow your supplement tray and it kind of sprays it all over the counter, these guys are the first that you can find. The other ones that, finding the difference between a vitamin C and let's say a joint health supplement, good luck. Those all kind of mix and mingle together. So I love the color and size and shape of those CoQ10s for that reason. But of course, the real value of them is what they do for your energy production and your mitochondria. So that's it on that segment on CoQ10, the molecule behind your energy. If anybody's got any thoughts or comments, or we can just move on to the next docket item.
Eric?
Yes, Hank, good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Great.
Talk about CoQ10. There's Dr. Sears here that runs an anti-aging clinic in Florida. And he says one of the things that he constantly recommends for anti-aging CoQ10. Just want to tell you that. It's Dr. Sears, and he's very well known in Florida.
Yeah, I'm familiar with Dr. Sears, and boy, I remember one of the things that Dr. Sears said, just to kind of double click on just the what you're saying, Hank, about what a notable figure he is, and he just explains things well, communicates things well. Also, he's also very clear and vocal about the benefits of supplementing with omega-3s in particular, right, Hank? You probably heard quite a bit
from. That's correct. You're right on.
Yeah. So one of the way he conveyed it once in something that I was reviewing is relating it to financial investments, where with the supplementation omega-3s, do it at any time. Just like, there's no better time to start saving if you've never done it before than today, right? But if you had some insight, start doing savings financially, I would say early. And that's what he equated it to. He said, if you can start supplementing with omega-3s early, it's like kind of front loading your 401k or your IRA. It can pay big dividends later as you've, kind of helped your body along with those early investments. So I just love Dr. Sears, and the fact that he's talking about CoQ10 as well does not surprise me. And that's really awesome. Very cool. Anybody else? And I know we've got some people sometimes where they're hitting, I think, and I don't know if Bruce and Eileen, if that is a wanting to say something. If
Okay.
so,
Well, let me just throw in one other thing while other people are ready.
yeah.
This it's not about HealthPointe, but it will relate to situations in HealthPointe. A good friend of mine from church had some major surgery, and we're good friends. He's a motorcycle rider, he's an avid rider, and so on and so forth. And then I called him this week just to see how he's doing. And he's definitely down. He's hurting pretty bad. And I said, I'm just gonna use his letter for his name, G. I said, G, just know this. We all go through peaks and valleys in our life. That's normal, okay? But the trouble is you gotta be careful when you're in the valley. You're not in a very good positive mood. You're not thinking clearly. You make decisions sometimes that are not good. So hold off on deciding on stopping riding because he loves to ride. I said, you're in the valley. Wait till you get up on the peak. Then when you get up on that peak, make the decision because now you can see the next peak. But from the valleys, you're in the doldrums, man. Don't go there. So again, relates to HealthPointe. You'll go through peaks and valleys in HealthPointe. Don't make decisions when you're in the valley. Wait till you get up on the peak. Things are going wonderful. You're excited. Make those decisions, and we'll be seeing the next peak. So the peaks and valleys of life can either make you successful or it can kill you if you make the decisions at the wrong time. Just want to share that with you. And he thanked me up and down. He said, I never heard that before, but thank you, thank you, thank you. So I just want to share that.
Oh, that's really great stuff. And I gotta kind of want to hang out on it a bit. So because it's so counterintuitive, I think is probably what's coming to my mind is what you're saying is that a lot of times, or in his case, probably what he was prepared to do. And we generally as human beings, what do? If we have a downtime, a valley, we kind of slide down in that valley, and then we start thinking we got to make decisions when we're in that down state. And what you're saying, Hank, is don't realize, first of all, we have those down states. That's life. But wait till you get back up on a peak before you start making decisions. Is that kind of what you're saying?
That's correct. You're in a good positive mind attitude, and you can see, okay, here I am. I've achieved it again. I'm going to go to the next achievement. And yeah, you may go through another valley, but just don't make the decision when you're in that valley. Just make them always when you're at the peak.
Nice. Love it. Great stuff. All right. I think I see Bruce and I. Yes, Eileen, good morning.
I don't know why, I have a really hard time finding the mute and the camera button. It doesn't want to pop up. So it's been up making noise since I found it. But I just wanted to share that my cardiologist about 8 years ago told me if I take one supplement, take CoQ10. Just wanted to share that. Yeah. And I'm sure it's probably because she prescribed a statin drug, but she still said I should take that. Just wanted to share that.
Appreciate that. Yeah, coming from a cardiologist makes total sense.
Yeah.
Right? Excellent. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Well, Laurel, good morning, Laurel. How are you? You got an item here on some water, a docket item on some water, I think.
Yeah, I just found an article yesterday, and not to be the bearer of bad news, it's just to keep people informed. And when I sent it to Hank and Carol, I said, well, here's another reason why we need e-spring purification systems in our houses. But anyway, it was apparently on Wednesday, the EPA announced that it's going to do away with limits on certain types of the toxic PFAs, the forever chemicals that are in the US drinking water. And it's pushing the deadline. It's also pushing the deadline for our municipal water systems to comply with these limits on two other different contaminants. I won't go into all the little initials and everything else, but they moved it back from 2029 was when they were supposed to be able to be in compliance. Now they have till 2031. It's like, okay, well, that's a lot of years of stuff in the water. But apparently, the biggest reason they're doing it, one is that companies, the industry that uses those chemicals in the production of their products or whatever, they tried to create PFAs to replace the other ones. And so those are the ones they're using. So they're giving them more time now to get them out of their water. And I guess it's impactful especially to the rural communities, because the smaller municipalities just don't have the money and the funds, because to get rid of these PFAs, it's like, very, very difficult, for them to eradicate them. And anyway, and they brought up the thought about the community in Michigan that had the paper mill. Was that Rockford or somewhere out that way that had they used to
Yes.
have a paper mill? Yeah. And so they had high levels of the chemicals in their blood 25 years after the mill closed. So, they were talking about, we shouldn't be waiting. So it was kind of a push-pull article, but the EPA says they're doing it to give a little bit of more flexibility to these municipalities to try to get the stuff out of there. And they also allowed a little more, they raised the limits a little bit on a couple of them. And so the article just talks about how, people, obviously, the Child's Defense, what am I trying to say? JFK's or RFK's association. Anyways, they're saying, we don't have time to be leaving this stuff in the water. And they're saying, we're going along with the big industries instead of helping the citizens. But the fact is that, that they've always said, especially with, our water treatment system, that the best place to do cleanup of your water is at the source right before you drink it. And that's more and more true. So they were saying that now it's going to be up to the states, at least if they want to keep higher requirements, then the states are going to have to pass laws if they want this stuff out of their water sooner. So anyway, it's not new news as far as the stuff being in our water, but it certainly is. Instead of 2029, it's going to be 2031, and some of the other chemicals that they're using now in the industry are going to be allowed to have a little higher levels, which is just the opposite of the way we want to go. But anyway, it's not to make a political statement, but obviously that they're changing. The EPA is changing things, and I think they're trying to find the balance. But we have to do our own due diligence and clean up our water as best we can on our own, and not depend on all the rules and regulations. So anyway, so that was the article.
Great stuff, Laurel. Thanks for bringing that on here, because, yeah, we're talking effectively. Well, I would argue 2029 is kind of scary. That's 4 more years, and
Yeah, right.
Going to 2031. So we got 6 more years to potentially be drinking this stuff. And wow. But we do have a choice. We do have a solution. And I saw that Steve, I think, is on here now. Steve, I don't know if you're able to talk right now. If you are, would love to get your insights. If you're able to unmute, if not, no problem. but I just know that you are super knowledgeable on the eSpring, particularly probably in terms of its certifications on PFAS and also like the NSF certifications and so forth. So again, not sure if you're able to unmute and speak. So we'll wait for Steve if he's able to. I presume he's not able to, no problem.
There we go. Got it.
Oh, there we go. All right, Steve. All right, take it away.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'll tell you, you know, with that, with the latest version of our eSpring, that is outstanding because there was a concern over here where we are around Saline because across the street from us was, and well, across the street and down about 200 yards, there used to be a warehouse which had been a factory, which had been a foundry that did chrome plating on, you know, all different kind of parts, mostly car parts, I believe. But when we moved in here, I got a knock at the door that summer, and here's a guy standing there in with the badge on, a supervisor's uniform. He says, "Hi." He says, "I'm the supervisor for the ecological cleanup across the street, and I just wanted to let you know what was going on." I thought, "Oh my gosh,
man.
what do you?" I thought, "What do you mean? What are you doing?" And he said, what they did, they would pump the sludge from the tanks that they had the chemicals in. And I remember when I was a kid, I was in those foundries with my dad when he would do business calls, and they had, you know, these, I don't know, they were 6 or 8 feet square, full of these toxic, really, really hot chemicals, and really pungent. So that this little foundry across the street would pump the sludge from those tanks across the Saline River, and they had I don't know, about maybe a quarter acre or a pond that they were dumping this stuff in. And so now this was, oh gosh, I don't know, probably it was 40, 50 years later after that thing had closed. They were over there with power shovels, digging down as deep as they could and trying to, you know, get rid of the contaminated soil and then filling it with clean dirt. But as time's gone by, you know, they were going to put a condo unit in where that old foundry had been. And then they found out that, oh my gosh, not only were they finding barrels hidden, 55-gallon drum barrels hidden, not only under the floor of the place, but also they were buried in the back of the property. And the place is condemned, and Johnson Controls now owns it, and they're trying to get it cleaned up. But I was so thankful at the time we had the eSpring of it, you know, but now the one we got is so much better. And, you know, not only is it taking out the PFAS, but also, guys, over 19 different pharmaceuticals and, you know, all the different toxic chemicals that are out there that the previous systems would not take out, but this does. And yeah, that stuff is around forever and ever, and everybody's got it in their body, everybody. But you know, that's I think one thing is fortunate we are using double X because of, and I'm not sure how many of you guys are aware of this. One of the things NSF certified double X for was to create a thing called phase 2 enzymes. And that's because of the micronutrients that are in our body, or that are in the double X. And the phase 2 enzyme is an enzyme that's created that breaks down insoluble toxin molecules that are in the body and breaks it down into the soluble form. And then because of us having good hydration, you know, on HealthPointe and learning about that, then we can get that stuff flushed out of our body. But that's, you know, that's one of the hidden secrets about double X is helping get toxins out of our body that I don't think a lot of people were aware of it. But yeah, phase 2 enzyme, the eSpring system, I mean, we're doing the right things. It just, you know, I just hope that it's enough. And you know, it's way more than what a lot of people are doing, but we need to get the word out, basically.
Wow. Geez, oh, Pete's Steve, I'm so glad that you could get that unmute. That you just dropped a gem in here. So first of all, crazy story. How's that for welcome wagon? You know, you're there for less than a year. You get a knock at the door. Hey, just here for the toxic waste cleanup across the street here. No worries, nothing to see here. And then you know, yeah, going through our system, and I know you have personally, I believe, visited the NSF facility.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
unpack for people, who is NSF? What do they do? Why is it relevant to have a water system like we have with the eSpring that has that certification, etc.?
Okay, good point, Eric. Let's back up a little bit. NSF was started by a couple of docs that were at U of M. It was around 70 years ago. And then the next year they became independent, and now they're an independent private corporation. But they are a world-class third-party testing agency. Amway does a lot of testing with them. And one of the times I was over there and talking to a gal that was the head toxicologist, we were looking at the eSpring, or I'm sorry, we were looking at the water purification lab. And at that time, now this was before the current eSpring was out. So she said that system has passed more certifications than any in-home water purification system we've ever tested.
Wow.
And now the one we got now is, you know, a great upgrade to that. But yeah, I mean, they're in about 170 countries, and the international headquarters is right here in the Ann Arbor area. And I'm really glad about that, because people try to be so cutting edge around Ann Arbor for one thing. They think they've got it whipped, as far as health over in this area. But NSF, I mean, they are cutting edge. They pull no punches. And, one of the things she told me was that, they tear stuff apart. They find everything that's in a nutrition. She said, we'll find things that are banned substances. We find things that are out and out dangerous. Things will be listed on a label and not in the product. Or she said, we find things in the product and they're not on the label. And she said, these companies think they're going to sneak it past us, but we rip into it and tear it apart and find everything. And there was a lab, in one of the labs, she said, now see all that stuff back there? And she pointed to a counter on the back end of the lab. There were about a dozen boxes and bottles. And she said, none of that stuff was submitted. She said, we just go out for fun and pull stuff off the shelves just to see what's there, to see why did they, not submit this stuff. And she said, none of that stuff would pass. So, yeah, we are very fortunate that the corporation has enough hindsight to think we better have our things certified, because most of the stuff I'll look at when a client sends it to me, 30-day guarantee, or it won't have anything about certification. Or it'll say, here's another one, it'll say certified on the label, then trying to find out who did it. And this was on a national brand advertised on TV, Cunol. You're talking about CoQ10. Mm-hmm. Looking at that thing, and I could not find who certified it until finally, at the bottom of the paragraph, down, I forgot what category it was in. It wasn't where I thought I'd find it. It said, we certify our own to strict standards.
No.
Thinking,
geez, that's like the fox watching the hen house.
Yeah, I mean, oh my gosh. So anyhow, didn't mean to monopolize, but yeah, we are very fortunate. We've got some high standard certification on the things we have. So back to you.
I think this topic is, I don't know how everybody else feels. I feel this topic is worth monopolizing this episode. It's so fun sometimes. We don't plan any of these things on the docket items, because NSF certification, of course, is not limited to the eSpring water filter system. We see NSF certification across the board on so many of our products. And regretfully, I was just having a conversation with somebody yesterday that was considering coming on the HealthPointe program, and they, as many people are, they're taking other supplements and kind of comparing and contrasting, kind of going down important rabbit holes of consideration. But now with this message this morning, what should have been a big flashing blinking red light in front of me to ask about is that other product NSF certified? Like, has this been subjected to the scrutiny? Because I know so many of our products have that NSF certification, not the least of which is the eSpring water filter, like you're saying. So I think that NSF topic and your unique perspective on it, Steve, because, having visited the facilities, having talked with people in there, I mean, the fact that these people, it sounds like on a fun Friday night, what do? They go out and pull products off of store shelves and have a party with it. I mean, these are like nerd techs like never before. That's amazing. And I would not want to be on the bad side of them. I mean, if you are either unintentionally, or we'll just say there's a lot of unscrupulous actors out there that are just seeing a trend for supplementation, seeing a trend for this, that, or the other thing, and they just cook up their quick supplement, put it in a bottle, put all the marketing phraseology on there, and they're just, some of them are unscrupulous. NSF gets a hold of them, that will shine some light on that. But on the flip side, if you are a good actor and you feel confident and want honest third-party scrutiny and scientific rigor, then like our products, put them through NSF. I love that.
Let me add one thing, because I don't want people to get carried away on NSF. Not all of our supplements have NSF certification. The hard tablet line, I think it looks like we probably have a good 90% of our hard tablet line, maybe a little bit more, but NSF certified. But there are some nutritions we are working with that have not been certified for whatever reason. Don't know. It's not cheap. It's not real quick. It does take some time. But some of our stuff doesn't have NSF certification behind it. So be careful when you're talking to people that don't claim all of our stuff is NSF certified. No, it's not. Just check to see if the label has the NSF on it. But it's good to say, we have a lot of our things, or almost all of our things, or, be careful how you phrase it. And they don't look at every single type of consumer product under the sun. They do look at nutritions, water purification, car parts, kids' toys. I've got a metal shelving unit down in the basement. It's got NSF stamped on it. I thought, really? Those too. But they don't do air. They don't do air purification systems. So be careful how you promote it. But yeah, do promote it, because they are a big deal, and they're right here in Michigan.
Wow.
To interrupt. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Carol.
I was just going to say, along with what Steve is saying, there are other certifications for specific things, such as air or, what have you. Also, doesn't mean that everything is certified, but I want to bring out that the omegas would not have an NSF certification. They have Friend of the Sea certification. And that is another equally high quality certification that I don't know of another product. Maybe there are some, but very few. If you talk about omegas to people, very few of them have Friend of the Sea. So there's another certification. So certifications are kind of the CCOF, the NSF, the Friend of the Sea. These are all very important things to bring out to people. So if you're talking to somebody, just go into your health catalog, your wellness book, and it will show you the certifications, and then you can build on that, and even circle the ones that are NSF certified, or if they're oils like omegas, that have the friend of the sea. In fact, there was a really good interview from a gentleman from Amway Corporation and a commentator when our advanced omegas came out, and he talked all about friend of the sea. That's when the advanced omegas just first came out, and I believe you can find it on YouTube. And so those are really good. And I don't remember, because boy, all this stuff is so great that you guys put out today. This is just awesome. But whoever mentioned about the flushing out, I don't remember who it was now. So much good
Steve.
stuff.
So
Steve,
it was
okay.
definitely Steve. And actually, Steve, I have never heard of that. And you related it to the XX product, and you're talking about what's called phase 2 enzyme. Could you spend a few more minutes on that and help us understand a little bit more about that?
Well, when there were seven different things that XX has been certified on, and the ones I like to highlight when I talk to a client about nutrition or HealthPointe, the real energy all day, guaranteed. That was certified. Protecting and repairing DNA, another area that people need to know about, I think, and the phase 2 enzyme. So because of the amount of micronutrients, and also because of cruciferous plants, I mean, these two areas help with the phase 2 enzyme, help with protecting and repairing DNA. And so it's, I think that's an important one to tell people, because, a lot of times somebody says, boy, he or she was just really healthy, and now all of a sudden they have cancer, but they never smoked or drank. All right, well, that's only part of it. What were they eating that had hidden chemicals in it that we didn't know about, or they didn't know about, that it became a tipping point because toxins build up in the body. And at some point with their physiology, their DNA, things fell into place for a chronic ailment to develop. And so the phase 2 enzyme is created, and it will take and break down those insoluble toxin molecules into the soluble form. And because of the amount of hydration we recommend and talk about with HealthPointe, you're getting that's one of the byproducts of weight loss. The chemicals that are broken down into a soluble form to get out of your body. It's not just stuff. It is crucial stuff that you don't want in your body, because you don't know at what point is that going to all of a sudden create a problem for you health-wise. And they certified that phase 2 enzymes, DNA repair, more energy all day, targeting free radicals, a broad spectrum and targeted spectrum. And I mean, there are a number of things that we've got some good stuff. We really do. And
does the permeability of your cell to allow for nutrients to enter in and toxins to flush out, does that enter into that, Steve?
Well, yeah, it does. And, that's one of the good things you were talking a second ago about the omegas. One of the things about the omegas, it makes the cell more permeable. And so toxins that are in the cell can escape, in a sense. And of course, that's making the cell wall more permeable for less insulin to be used. That's one of the ways that we're able to inhibit the weight gaining hormone of insulin. It's more permeable. The glucose gets into the cell easier. And so not as much insulin needs to be used. But then I do remember one of the things that omegas will do, it does make the outside of that cell wall a little more like armor. So it's harder for toxins to get into those things. So, with the omegas, it's doing a lot besides just making the blood slippery or giving you clear thought. It really is a valuable nutrition that we have that, and I don't know if people realize how valuable that really is, how much everybody needs to be on omegas. But that is also, if I remember correctly, not only friend of the sea, but also NSF certified now.
Oh, okay, good. I did not know that, because promoted the Friend of the Sea when it came out, and I never followed through. Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. In fact, I'll go check. Let me go look right now. I'm pretty sure that I've seen the NSF certification on there lately.
It is.
Okay.
Your
wife to the rescue.
Wife to the rescue. It's got the NSF certification on it.
Yep, there it is.
Great.
That blue
Beautiful.
label.
Beautiful. Oh,
So anyhow, we've got some good stuff.
Wow. And how? Well, thank you so much on that. Hey, David, earlier I saw that you were unmuted and didn't know if you were still able to be available. There you are.
30 seconds. My grandson works for the water department in Southgate. Water mains break. It's his job is to go in and fix them. And he sends me pictures of the water main breaks, and the pipes are just full of sludge.
Yeah, wow. There's a visual, and so true, right? I mean, these pipes don't stay pristine as the day that they are put in, right? I mean, some of those pipes, I mean, they just recently did major road work right in our little town that we live in. In fact, it was right at the entrance to or come into our home. So we were it was in our face for months. And these pipes that were in there were from we're talking, I don't know. I mean, I don't know specifically, but I know it was like 1950s or something like that. We're talking, over half a century old. These are some pretty ugly things that we're carrying the drinking water through there. But I mean, obviously we have a number of e-springs in our home, but yeah, boy, ask your grandson to take some pictures and send them over we'll do a screen share on our walk and talk. And thank you for that, David. Thank you very much.
I will do that.
All right.
That ties in with the for those of you that have the global HealthPointe app. I think it's probably around the 4th or 5th. It's pretty early in the game of days that they talk about e-spring. Now these are Australians, but I thought Nicole did a great job because she just took her around her neighborhood and where the water goes and when it comes through, and it just raises a lot of questions. Okay, so maybe your plant is purifying your water, but what happens to it after it leaves the plant and goes into those pipes? And that's just what David was talking about. But I thought she did a great job. And then they had a really, really great guy. Now he was talking about the eSpring 2. They do not have the eSpring 3 there yet, so we can capitalize on that. But he brought out some really, really good points that I think would be well worth listening to that. And then also all of the eSpring little video clips from scientists and everything that is available not only on Amway, but also on Network 21 on all of the things for the eSpring. And, earlier, Laurel was talking about the PFOS and PFOA. And last night when I was on with RFK and Dr. Phil, and I want to see here where he actually said it. He talked about microplastics and what a major, major problem these are becoming and have been for a long time. And he said they've done studies now, and I'm going to go back and double check this figure. I put down 1% of Americans' brains are all plastic now. 1% of your brain from the settlement of microplastics. So I will go back and I will double check on that, but it's at least 1%, and it might even be more. And then they also talked about a documentary, and probably many of you have already seen this. I have not, but it's called Dark Waters, and it's all on the PFOS, PFOAs. And so if you want to pull that up on YouTube, these are documentaries that are done by very, very solid people. These aren't AI little quips. These are full-blown documentaries, which will help understand a little bit more about the dangers of our water too. So I wanted to bring those two things out. And yeah, so anyway, wanted to bring that out, Erin.
You know, Eric, I was going to also comment, um, we're talking about the water in the pipes and stuff, but just recently in our area, Clawson is the community, they demolished an elementary school. My daughter-in-law worked there for some years, and it's right down the street from where my son and daughter-in-law live. And they're going to put a whole big, naturally, a bunch of new homes in that whole area. The school district consolidated their buildings. Well, so when we got home from Florida, we went over there and they hadn't done anything. It's all just sitting there, all dirt and all fenced in. And I asked, and she said, "Oh, yeah, they can't build on it for several years now because they tested the dirt and it's all contaminated and not
Wow.
safe for building on. And it's right in the middle of the neighborhood. You know, it's old neighborhood school. And I said, oh, great. There's been an elementary school on that property for what, 30, 40, 50 years? Who knows how long that school was there and drinking out of the drinking fountains. I mean, it's just, you know, it's all the dirt. So I said, what are they doing about it? She says, well, they haven't quite figured out. I guess they can't remove all the dirt, but they're just going to let it sit there. I said, okay. And all the stuff will just leach into everybody else's dirt and has been probably for 30 years. So again, you know, you got to protect yourself.
Wow. Yeah. Geez, oh Pete's. That's like you said, just because they don't build a school on it doesn't mean it's not, you know, potentially risky for the surrounding community. So, you
There's
know,
all, go ahead, yeah.
I was just saying, so it's just to your point, and I think everybody's point here is this isn't to, you know, create, you know, big despair. There are options. You know, you can filter your water. Obviously, an eSpring is you know, a great choice, but you know, this isn't something that is an affliction out there that you have no control over. The best thing is before that goes into your drinking glass or your coffee pot or your, you know, doing some cooking, you know, as it's coming out of that spout, it's being purified. And, you know, to a large degree, it kind of doesn't matter what happened upstream, you know, certainly in the standpoint of, you mentioned microplastics, Carol.
Yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Steve, or anybody else, but I'm almost positive that particularly the new generation of eSpring, which is only came out about a year ago, is certified to take out microplastics. I'm 99% sure on
Yes,
that.
you're right. You're right.
And also we'd be remiss to not be clear that it's also certified to take out the PFAS. So so you know, these things that we're talking about, microplastic, PFAS, Steve mentioned like 19 other pharmaceuticals. That's the other thing, you know, the amount of pharmaceuticals that people are consuming these days, various different drugs and stuff like that. Where does that ultimately, you know, passes through and can find its way into the water supply. So, you know, that's why it's important when they put out that publication of what it's certified to remove. It includes this long list of pharmaceuticals, things that we didn't even think about probably decades ago. So yeah, in case you're ever wondering too, I'm sure it takes out cigarette butts and big chunks of stuff too. So we got that covered if that's floating around in your water. So sometimes we get down to like literally like the nanometer thing and we forget, you know, there's cigarette butts floating around some people's water, I tell you, or chlorine. I mean, have you guys ever stepped into somebody's house and they offer you a glass of water and you're like, wow, did you just go dip this out of the swimming pool or what? I mean, it just makes your eyes water just to hold it up to your, so it takes that out too, is my point. If you do have that in your city water supply and, you know, for a moment, just let's not even debate whether, you know, what chlorine can or cannot do in terms of ingesting it. Let's just talk about taste and smell. I mean, that's important too. You know, hold a glass up to your nose and give it a sniff. You know, does it smell like a swimming pool? Maybe you would want to explore an option on that. But Carol, you were saying something, I think.
The other thing to consider, and I'm going to throw up this is meant very positively, but one thing our eSpring does not do is take out fluoride, and I know that there's a big push. I believe Utah is a state that has taken fluoride out of their water a few years ago, And Florida has just ruled as a second state to take fluoride out of the water. And there's, of course, a big backlash, with various people. And I'm not debating here on fluoride or not fluoride. But they're taking it out because of all the multiple studies that have been done over the years, proving that it is not good for you. It's a chemical that's not good for you. But the other thing they said is, oh, it's going to make a lot of dentists rich because of the cavities. Well, what was stated was the fluoride in the water is not necessary to help with cavities. The fluoride topical, if you are concerned with that and feel the fluoride will take care of the cavities, the topical treatment is what you want to go after, not having it in your water, consuming it throughout your whole body. And I thought that made sense.
Yeah, it does. And something else on the cavity front, it's complex. There's not one thing that can be done. But of course, if we're here talking about HealthPointe and we talk about reducing processed food and sugars, if I wonder if people are just eating less, carbonated beverages and sodas and pops and sugary drinks and stuff like that. I wonder, what kind of positive effect that can have on dental care. I know what it is because I have friends and family in that field. So that's a big thing that you can take control of, is eat good, clean, whole foods, nutrient dense foods, and reduce the processed foods and sugars. And that can help your whole body, including your teeth, for sure.
Can I tie in with that, Eric, before we get on another topic? Okay, last night on the town hall with RFK Jr., he stated, and maybe some of the stuff you guys already know, but I have to hear it 25,000 times before it really sticks. In 1800s, there was 18 pounds of sugar per year that you consumed. In 1900s, there is 90 pounds, and in 2009, 180 pounds. Now that's, what is that? 18 versus 180. So it goes to show you, and they talked all about what happened with Reynolds and the sugar industries back in the 80s, and how they saw themselves sinking with the tobacco industry. So they moved over to the sugar and fast foods and targeting young people. They talked all about that. And tying right in with sugar, it says, he gave a statistic, 38% of all teens now are pre-diabetic or diabetic. And I thought that was staggering. I don't know that I had heard that figure, but there was another one he gave. 230 million Americans now are pre-diabetic and diabetic. And we were talking about 180 million. I'm going to have to change my figures here. But
what is that? What is that recent figure? Sorry, I missed that.
230 million Americans now are pre-diabetic or diabetic. That came from RFK Jr.
Yeah, and it's not surprising that is uptick. I also, Carol, to your point, is I was about 100 million short. No joke. I mean, we've been talking 128 million. This is 230 million.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. So these figures are changing very rapidly, and that's why I think this was so good. I tried to throw down things as much as possible. They went also into autism, and there was a lot of things, but here's one that stuck in my mind also. In Europe, in your foods, your processed foods, there's about 400 ingredients. In the United States, there's 10,000. Now just compare that, 400 artificial ingredients in your foods in Europe, and 10,000 in the United States. And of course, we've all seen, is it Fruit Loops, that what it looks like in Canada versus the United States. Canada uses vegetable colorings from vegetables. We use chemicals because they're brighter. Well, they're killing our kids. And so that was another thing. And this was something that I thought really tied in with HealthPointe. It says they are now putting, and I don't know for how long now, they're putting softeners in foods. This came right from RFK. They're putting softeners in your processed foods so you don't have to chew as much. And he said that your brain measures chewing, and it reports to it reports for satiation or satisfaction when you feel like you've eaten something, and how many times you have to chew. So if you're eating processed foods, which have softeners in them, versus vegetables and salads and natural foods, you are going to chew much, much fewer times. So you're going to eat much, much more food because your brain does not register. When you have certain amount of chews, it registers in your brain for satisfaction. And it tells your brain, okay, I'm satisfied now. But when you're eating those processed foods, I mean, how many times have we heard you can open up a bag of chips and pretty soon it's all gone? You know, it's mindless eating. Well, mindless eating is because there's nothing in it, and it doesn't register with your brain that you're getting nutrients. And he said there's no nutrients in those foods, and so you can just eat and eat and eat. And how many times have we heard, oh man, I ate all this stuff and I just don't feel full. I don't feel satisfied. And that's why. It's because
it's literally a marketing and advertising line, isn't it? They say you can't eat just one, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's like literally what they're saying in their advertising, or used to. I don't know if they still do, but I mean, it's factually true is what you're pointing out, Carol.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And so what it goes to show you is I can't think of the word I want to use now. Well, I want to use a word, but I won't use that word. But taking advantage of the public, the American public. And they do it through our advertisements. And if you look at the advertisements on television, that was another thing he brought out. What do they advertise? They advertise healthy foods. Like you have to search those kinds of things, you know, berries and stuff like that help you to anti-aging foods. No, they advertise McDonald's, and they advertise these sickening, disgusting burgers and stuff just filled with grease and additives. They advertise those, and that creates that brain trigger where you want that stuff. They advertise drugs, and they'll put disclaimers on the bottom, and you go out and get the drug anyway. I mean, this could cause death. This could cause this. This could cause that. But it will make your sex life a lot better. Well, good grief, you know, where's the trade-off here? I'm just using that as an example. But the thing is that they work it through the media, they work it through advertising, and they work it through the kids. And I read somewhere that McDonald's doesn't sell your kids food. They sell your kids magic. They sell your kids Ronald McDonald. They sell your kids fun and games. But the kids fall in love with the hamburgers because that's what they relate it to. And so these are all marketing tactics that they're trying to control and come down on. And I'm going to leave you with one last thing. And this happened for the last number of weeks. And I thought it was so apropos with listening to RFK last night. But I don't know if you guys have BOGOs in other areas, but Florida's big on BOGOs. That's buy one, get one free. So Publix has to be the king of BOGOs. They have fabulous, fabulous sales on BOGOs. But if you go down the Publix app on all the BOGOs or on what's on for sale, I bet you 9/10 of them at least were things I would never put in my body. They're processed this, processed that. They don't, you know, was it Patty Reynolds that says it's food-like products? It's not foods, it's food-like products. And that's what people are eating. If you really look at the American public that's not aware, look at what they eat for breakfast and lunch and dinner. And most of it is food-like products. And so Publix, when we go down the BOGOs, now there are some things like the grass-fed butter and certain things that I buy, and I stock up on those things, and I always check it. But as I'm checking and going through all of these food-like products, I'm thinking, no wonder people are sick. I mean, the fancy names they give for them. And I am actually, my stomach gets kind of turned over when I go through some of this stuff, because I don't even realize half the stuff's out there because I don't shop in those aisles. And those are the things that are buy one, get one free. So people on budgets, what are they going to stock up on? So.
Yeah. I've never heard that term. It was the Florida thing. Buy one, get one free.
Oh, you
But
haven't heard
no,
that term?
that
Oh,
good.
gosh.
No, that's in the principle. I mean, I totally get it.
Yeah.
And yeah, that can really load up there. Well, we are at our mark here, but I just saw somebody pop on camera, and I don't know if she's still available, but this is called our walk and talk, and I think she was doing a running and listening. So Erica, how are you? You still there? You go.
Hey everybody, how are you? I just got done with my 5K. I'm going onto the Tigers field here in a second. So thanks for motivating me for the last 30 minutes on my run. I loved hearing about the clean water. Here we go. I'll show you the field. Let me turn the camera around. Woohoo!
Oh yeah, way to go, Erica.
Congratulations.
Wow. Awesome. So what is this here, Erica?
I ran the D 5K. So
nice.
We finished on the Detroit on the field. So we get to walk on the bases in the outfield, which is super cool. Anyway,
wow.
Great hearing everyone's voice this morning. Sorry I haven't been on as much. Things have been super busy over here, but I'm wiggling my way back in.
Awesome. Well, I can't think of a better note to wrap up on than beautiful Tiger Stadium there, and wrapping up, coming through the finish line and wrapping up running for the D, a 5K by Erica. So that is so awesome. Thanks for flipping on your camera and unmuting there, Erica. That's super cool. Great to have you as part of the program here. Great to have everyone. I can't go through everybody's name. Just thank you, everybody. It was really robust here. Lots of great information, super fun. So now, quick programming noise. I'm coming to a close. It just dawned on me. I normally say we'll be here same time, same place next week, but we will not, because some of us will be very deep into some conference mode on next Saturday. So next Saturday is an off week, so don't tune in. But we'll look forward to being here with a lot of great information. It's just going to be power packed with HealthPointe stuff at the conference. And in fact, a team from the Australians, we reference the Australians so much, they're going to be absolutely doing what do they call it, an intensive on Friday. That's usually not even part of the program. So we're going to get a lot. We'll be back on the week after, but not this coming next Saturday. So 2 weeks from now, we'll see you guys at that time in the same place. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Eric?
Yeah, yes, Carol.
Just a real quick one. And that is Casey sent out for people that are registered on the intensives. She sent out a code yesterday. It's a global code, and said to download it and delete your other code. All of us, I think, have been pretty much ahead of the game, because we've all purchased a global code and downloaded. If you purchase a global code and you're listening to the Australians, do not delete that code. That's the one that she sent out. Save the code she sent out to you and use that for a new HealthPointe client. So I just want to make sure everybody knows that. And then also on Monday, is our cohort 4, lean team number 1, and we have our new award, and it's the 5-pound win. So it's going to be up to you guys to report if you lost 5 pounds, or you are coaching somebody that's lost 5 pounds. If you can get them on to share, we really want to emphasize the power of 5 pounds and how important that this program is really built on 5-pound increments, 5 pounds here, 5 pounds, the next cycle, and how it grows to be 50 or 100 or however many pounds a person wants to lose. So just want to remind you of that. Yes.
Carol. So let's say one of our clients has lost more than 5 pounds, as most everybody on the call has. Do you still want them to just report the 5 pounds and not say the total?
They can do whichever they want. If they just recently lost 5 new pounds and they want to report that, that's great. If they want to report how much they've lost collectively to date, that's great too.
Okay.
Either way, the big thing is that we want to report, we want to recognize people, because it's a lonely road out there. And a lot of times people say, oh, well, it's only 5 pounds that I've lost, and so they meekly don't want to be recognized. And what we want to help them understand is, please, we want to recognize you. We want to, not the same 5 pounds every week, but we want to recognize you every new 5 pounds. And if you've lost 20 pounds or 50 pounds or whatever, yeah, we want to recognize that. So please let us know in advance so we can build that into the program, because the idea is to get interaction with the people and get them on camera, just saying, hey, I lost this much, and here's a hot tip I have for everybody out there that's in the journey like I am, and give something that was helpful to them. And we want to really build on that.
And
Awesome.
even though it's Memorial Day on Monday, you'll still have the Monday HealthPointe at 8.
They'll need it at 8 o'clock at night. The picnics are over now. Obviously, they probably have need to regroup.
Wait a minute. No, I meant like next Monday when it's Memorial Day after we get. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, there's a Monday to go yet. Sorry about that.
No, I don't know. What do you think, Eric? I think we should just go ahead with it.
Yeah, but we do have a couple of weeks, so we'll focus on this coming Monday, and we'll see those of us this coming Saturday or this coming Monday, 8 p.m. to 8:30 is just 30 minutes. So guys, this has been a great Saturday morning. For those that joined Monday night, see you at 8 o'clock, and we'll see you on the Saturday Walk and Talk, not this next Saturday, but 2 weeks from today. So have a great weekend, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Meryl. Bye, everybody.